So a story that's been bubbling up, and something I think people should be paying attention to, because this does have implications for 2020. I know, we just got done with an election. We're already going, 2020. But you got to remember, the Democrats they're getting ready. Democrats, I think you're going to see Democrats really announce early, after the midterms, that they're running for president. Some of them are already making moves. The Washington Times, with their headline, "Liberals with eye on presidency rush to support Sanders' Medicare for All legislation," also known as single payer. They don't want to call it single payer, but it's Medicare for All. High-profile liberals who are rushing to back a single-payer system, signing on to the Medicare for All that Senator Bernie Sanders will unveil today, laying the groundwork for the next big health care fight, even as Republicans try to revive Obamacare repeal efforts and try to cut out the federal government. Sanders is poised to push the other direction. He says the 2010 health care law did not go far enough in imposing government controls and backstops. He's also now winning the backing of some of the Senate's most high-profile Democrats believed to be eyeing presidential bids in 2020, including Senators Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, who tweeted her support on Tuesday. Also on board, Senators Kamala Harris of California. You know, she's being backed by the Clintons right now. Have you heard of this lady? Kamala Harris? She's being backed. She's met with the Clintons. She's met with some of the old Clinton campaign people. So it looks like she's getting ready to run. Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts has signed on to Bernie Sanders' bill, and so is Cory Booker of New Jersey. Now, all of these are the next, I hate to call them next generation, but the next generation. This is the Democratic bench right here. These are the people who are more likely to get the nomination than somebody like Hillary again. Quote, "This is something that's got to happen. Obamacare was the first step in advancing the country, but I won't rest until every American has basic security that comes with having access to affordable health care," Booker told NJTV on Monday. Support for single-payer system emerging as a pivotal issue for Democratic candidates ahead of the midterm elections next year in the campaign to defeat President Trump, even though that contest is 3 years away. Party leaders on Capitol Hill are reluctant to back the plan outright and hoping to avoid the type of litmus test that divide parties and focus on defending Obamacare from Republican attacks and Trump's sabotage. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi of California and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York characterized Sanders' effort as just one of a number of proposals that reflect the party's longstanding pursuit of universal health insurance coverage. Quote, "Before we try it for our country, the idea of trying it for a couple of states seems to be logical," said Senator Thomas Carper out of Delaware. So far, state efforts haven't been promising. California, where Democrats control all levels of power, shelved plans for single payer after the state House Speaker said it would cost too much and run hundreds of billions of dollars. Implementing a single payer system nationwide could cost $25 trillion over a decade. The independent bipartisan public policy organization was the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimated on Tuesday that it could cost $25 trillion. The organization was looking at a version of Sanders' plan that he laid out during the presidential campaign last year. Now, this has always been the Democratic plan. They've wanted Obamacare to fail so that way they can move to a single-payer system. You have now forming. They don't want to call it single payer, okay? They don't want to, because that's associated. There's some bad language associated with that. They don't want to associate with single payer. They want to call it Medicare for All. But this is the next step. And really, this is it. This is why I have said for Republicans, you have got to do something. Because if Democrats win the White House, if Democrats gain control of Congress, you will get single payer. It's going to happen. Unless the Republicans can pull their heads out of their, well, you know, if they will pull their heads out and work together. I know it's a strange idea of Republicans working together. But if they don't do something, or if they put out a plan that is not good enough, then this is what you're going to get, whether it's in 4 years, whether it's in 8 years. This is the next step. And you're laying the groundwork for it. Democrats are laying the groundwork. Listen, these people, they're not, well, they're kooks, but they're not, well, they are a little crazy. But they're not Elizabeth Warren crazy. I don't believe Elizabeth Warren can win a national election. I think Cory Booker could. I don't think that Elizabeth Warren could win the presidency. Kamala Harris might be able to. And these are leftist. These are progressive. They are in the same mold as Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, but they play better on TV. They play better to a crowd. They know how to moderate their voices a little bit, almost like Obama. When Obama was campaigning, he didn't really campaign that much, sounding like a big-time progressive. He wanted people to think that he was right down the middle, right? Bernie Sanders, hey, he wants you to know that he's a democratic socialist. That's what he wants you to know that. Elizabeth Warren, she wants you to know that she's to the far left. Cory Booker kind of dips his toe in there, but make no mistake, he is far to the left. So is Kamala Harris. So is Gillibrand out of New York. They're all to the far left. But they play better on TV. They play better to a crowd. They play better nationally. And they're signing on to Bernie Sanders' plan. And they know Cory Booker, listen, at least he's being honest. When he says this is the next step. Cory Booker says this is something that's got to happen. Obamacare was a first step in advancing this country. Listen, that's the honest truth. From the Democratic side, Obamacare was just the first step. Cory Booker's just telling you the truth. That from the liberal mindset, Obamacare was step number 1. Step number 2, Obamacare fails. Step number 3, single payer. There's no one on the left that wants government to get out of the healthcare industry. There's no one on the left that wants the government to get out of health insurance. None of them want that. They want more control. Even Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they're looking at this going, okay, we got to be careful. We got to be really careful here in how we present this, because the American public, it was even the Washington Post had an editorial about how single payer is just too expensive for the United States. It can't be done. It's just too expensive. And so they look at that and they go, if the Washington Post is even calling us out, we've got to be very, very careful here. They're in leadership positions. They're looking at this going, we got to be very careful. But everyone else who wants to run for president on the left is saying, nope, this is where we're going next. This is the next step for the left. And that's why Republicans have to do something. My big fear is that Republicans do nothing on this issue. Republican voters are, you have depressed voter turnout, and all of a sudden you have the Democrats start winning back Congress, and then eventually a Democrat will win the White House. It's going to happen at some point. I mean, we already have the attitude that is out. What does it matter if we elect a Democrat or a Republican? You have Trump who's working with Democrats right now. You may have some people who say, it doesn't matter. If it's a Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. Holding on to the White House matters, but even then, as long as they lean to the right, that's fine with me. This is what the left wants. The left wants single payer. This is what it's been about since day one of Obamacare. And we've known that. But now you have a bill, and the bill will not pass. You're not going to get single-payer health care this year or next year, within the next 3 years. That's not going to happen. But this is starting to gain momentum on the left, and it's something that everybody should be paying attention to, and Republicans in Washington had better be paying attention to this.